Was there discussion among your leadership to put dollar figures out there to have the costings today, and you decided let's hold that off?
Well, that'll be the next. Well, that'll be the next stage. Today was the first step in giving respect to those 7 communities that after the geotechnical assessments, the initial assessments, that they're the best ones on which to proceed with. It was also about making sure that Australians understood that under Peter Dutton and David Littleproud, we're going to return ownership of some of our generation of power to the Australian people, not to multinationals from overseas that come along, take it and run off, and to leave a legacy, not for 19 years or however long a wind turbine or a panel lasts, but for 80 to 90 years. That's the legacy that Peter Dutton and David Littleproud want to leave. That's the one that we've got the courage of our conviction and have a belief in those men and women, in those jobs in regional Australia, in those 7 sites, that we believe in them and that they can transition across, and over 77% of those, history shows, will be able to move across, but there'll be more jobs, there'll be higher paying jobs, but this is a vote of confidence in regional Australia rather than having a vision of us tied up with transmission lines, turbines and solar panels.
Can you give us a sense of how much energy will be provided by the 7 reactors when they're up and running in terms of megawatts?
Yeah, that'll be the next stage that we'll announce, not only with the costings, but also in terms of what the energy mix will be. I think it's important to understand this is a big change that we're asking the Australian people to understand and those communities to understand, those 7 communities. And I think what you've heard from us from the very start is that we'll put these where existing coal-fired power stations are, and then we'll be, at our next stage, being able to demonstrate what our total mix, whether that be with renewables, whether that be with gas, with CCS, and the timeline of that transition. We'll be upfront and honest with the Australian people, but this is about taking that first step and showing respect to those 7 communities about the significant role that they'll play and the significant opportunity that they'll have.
You won't give the number on the megawatts, though. Will it be enough? Can you tell us, will it be enough to cover the base load power that's being removed from the system over the next 10 years?
Yeah, and you'll see a pathway of construction and delivery to net zero by 2050 through that energy grid. It's about 30-odd% of total emissions at the moment, but we'll be honest about how we transition that, and gas will play a significant role in that. And we're being very upfront and honest. The gas that will be required will be significantly more than what it is now, but renewables will still play a role in that. There'll be renewable projects, and what we're simply saying is we should also run the ruler over, giving energy independence and looking to put renewables on an environment they can't destroy, and your food security being destroyed by tearing up prime agricultural land and tearing up remnant vegetation, but looking to put it on rooftops and working with states about the subsidies they give and look to batteries to help the grid. So you'll see a mix, and we're working through that, but we'll be upfront and honest about what that baseload piece will be with nuclear, what gas will play and what renewables will play. We won't have an all renewables approach. We won't put all our energy eggs in one basket and create concentration risk in this country, because it simply won't keep the lights on, it won't keep hospital lights on, and it won't keep manufacturing going.
You've said again today, similar to the remarks you made yesterday, that you want to keep a lid, basically a cap on the amount of large-scale renewables in the system, and that nuclear will help do that. Your colleague Simon Birmingham, I spoke to him yesterday, he says there is a place for large-scale nuclear energy projects into the future. Do you disagree with him?
Well, there is nuclear. That's what we're putting in today, and what that does is, as I articulated the other day,
large-scale renewable,
the amount.
Large-scale renewable.
No, I got you. I got you, mate. Yeah.
You agree with him? Yeah.
Yep. So what this will do, as I said the other day, is reduce the need for those large-scale renewable projects that we would have under the Albanese government of an all-renewables approach. But what we should also run the ruler over, that I went on to say in that press conference, was talking about where renewables should be and putting it on an environment it doesn't destroy. And that's on rooftops and supporting energy independence for business and households where the concentration of population, the concentration of power is required. That's common sense. And we've worked with states and looked to help with batteries. Well, that alleviates further the need for regional Australia to bear the brunt of this. And that's all I'm saying to our Teal members of Parliament. I understand we're all on this journey to make sure we decarbonise to live up to our international commitments. but just appreciate what you're asking us to bear the burden of. The lifestyle that's been ripped up, the environment that we preserve being ripped up, our livelihoods being ripped up, and your food security being ripped up. It's not as simple and as ideological as they think. And I just say it's easy to make those assessments and that ideology from the sanctity of a suburb in Sydney, but come and have the lived experience that the Nationals have and the pain and anguish that we see of families being torn up, communities being torn up, their livelihoods being torn up. Don't they count? Don't those Australians count just as much as someone that's sitting in Wentworth or in Goldstein? We count too in regional Australia, and we've done the heavy lifting. We want to do more of the heavy lifting, but let us do it in a way that we can actually get something out of, not some multinational from overseas. And not only do we get something out of it, but the Australian taxpayer gets something out of it.
David Littleproud, appreciate it as always. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.